SUVs have become the kings of American roads. They look powerful, they sit high above traffic, and they give drivers the confidence that they can handle anything life throws at them. But when crash test experts put them through the toughest trials, some of these giants revealed terrifying secrets. Seat belts that didn't hold, rear passengers thrown forward violently, weak structures that bent under pressure, and in one case, an SUV that actually tipped onto its side during a test. These are not minor flaws. They are the kinds of failures that make safety engineers flinch and force automakers back to the drawing board. And what's even scarier, many of these SUVs are popular, everyday models that you see on the road right now. Today, we're counting down 13 SUVs that left crash experts alarmed, proving that size and style don't always equal safety. Number 13. Jeep Wrangler, 2022 to 2024. The Jeep Wrangler is one of the most recognizable vehicles in America. Its boxy design and off-road reputation have made it a favorite for decades. But when it comes to crash safety, the Wrangler's rugged image doesn't hold up under pressure. In the driver's side small overlap crash test, designed to simulate hitting a tree or a utility pole with the front corner of the vehicle, the Wrangler shocked engineers by tipping over onto its side after the impact. A tip-over in a frontal crash is a serious red flag. Not only does it add the dangers of a rollover, but it also complicates airbag deployment and seatbelt effectiveness. Testers called the results unacceptable. Even after Jeep made some changes, the instability remained a concern. The Wrangler's tall, narrow design may help it climb rocks, but in controlled crash labs, that same shape worked against it. Instead of standing tall, it literally toppled. The crash dummies showed increased risk of injury from both the impact and the sudden rollover motion. What makes this so striking is that the Wrangler is marketed as a go-anywhere, do-anything SUV. Buyers expect toughness, but the tests revealed fragility in one of the most critical measures of safety. For crash engineers, watching such an iconic vehicle end up on its side was more than disappointing. It was terrifying. Number 12. Honda Pilot, 2023 to 2024. The Honda Pilot has built a reputation as a dependable, family-friendly SUV. It's the kind of vehicle parents choose when they want space, comfort, and above all, safety. But the latest crash tests revealed something that left experts alarmed. The Pilot failed to properly protect people in the back seat. In the updated moderate overlap test, which now includes a rear passenger dummy, the Pilot's rear belts and seat systems simply didn't perform as expected. The dummy showed signs of excessive chest forces, poor belt positioning, and a level of injury risk that no modern SUV should allow. For a vehicle designed to carry kids, teenagers, and family members in the second row, this was a glaring failure. Engineers called out the rear seat protection as poor, and their concern was obvious in the ratings. The front seats fared better, offering solid protection to the driver and passenger, but that wasn't enough to save the Pilot's score. In real-world crashes, families often have children or older adults riding in the second row, and this is exactly where the Pilot stumbled. Crash test experts were particularly unnerved because Honda has a strong history of building safe vehicles. This wasn't what they expected from a brand with such a reputation. Seeing a trusted family SUV like the Pilot show weak results in rear seat protection was enough to make engineers pause. It's a reminder that even popular, respected models can have frightening blind spots when put through the toughest new tests. Number 11. Hyundai Palisade, 2023. The Hyundai Palisade was introduced as the company's flagship family SUV, big, bold, and marketed as the ultimate road trip machine. With 3 rows of seating, parents and grandparents alike turned to the Palisade to move families in comfort. But when crash testers put the 2023 model through the updated moderate overlap test, the results were anything but comforting. The front seats did well, keeping the driver and front passenger well protected. But the moment the focus shifted to the second row, the Palisade's shortcomings were exposed. The rear passenger dummy recorded forces that signaled a poor level of protection. The seat belt didn't properly control movement, chest loading spiked to concerning levels, and the restraint system simply didn't provide the kind of shield expected from a modern SUV. For experts who live and breathe crash science, watching those results was unnerving. What makes this failure particularly troubling is the Palisade's purpose. It's not a niche off-roader or a flashy crossover. It's a family bus. It's designed to carry children, teenagers, and grandparents in the second and third rows. When the very part of the vehicle meant to keep families together in safety doesn't perform, it undercuts the entire promise of the SUV. Crash testers don't use dramatic language lightly, but the Palisade's performance in the rear seat trial was enough to rattle them. Seeing a flagship model stumble so badly in such a critical area served as a stark reminder. Size and luxury don't guarantee safety, especially for those sitting behind the driver. Number 10. Jeep Grand Cherokee, 2023. The Jeep Grand Cherokee is one of the most respected names in American SUVs. For decades, it's been seen as the refined Jeep, capable off-road, but also comfortable enough for suburban life. Yet even icons can fail. And in the 2023 updated moderate overlap crash test, the Grand Cherokee did just that. Like many of its peers, the front row of the Grand Cherokee held up well. The driver and front passenger dummies showed good protection from impact forces. But when testers added a rear passenger dummy, the picture changed dramatically. The rear belts failed to keep the dummy properly restrained. Chest injury measures climbed, and the system overall was rated poor for rear occupant safety. For crash experts, this wasn't just a technical hiccup. It was a sobering reality check. Families who trusted the Grand Cherokee for road trips or carpools would be shocked to learn that the second row, where kids and older family members often sit, did not get the same protection as the front. What stung even more is that Jeep markets the Grand Cherokee as a family SUV with a reputation for toughness and quality. But in the lab, toughness didn't translate to equal safety for everyone on board. For crash engineers, the uneven performance was both frustrating and frightening. Seeing the Grand Cherokee stumble where it mattered most, the protection of rear passengers, was a wake-up call that even trusted nameplates can fall short under new standards. Number 9. Mazda CX-9, 2016 to 2023. The Mazda CX-9 always carried itself as the stylish alternative to the bulky 3-row SUV crowd. Sleek lines, an upscale interior, and Mazda's reputation for sharp handling made it a favorite among drivers who didn't want their family hauler to feel like a bus. But when crash experts tested it under the updated moderate overlap standard, the shine wore off quickly. The front seats, again, were fine. Mazda's engineering gave the driver and front passenger solid protection. But in the back, the story was different. The rear seat dummy in the updated test recorded troubling results: poor chest protection and weak belt control. The seat belt didn't manage crash forces the way it should, leaving the dummy at risk of serious injury. For safety experts, this was disappointing because the CX-9 wasn't some bargain bin SUV. It was Mazda's flagship in the US for families. Many buyers chose it specifically because it felt more refined than its competitors. Yet in the lab, that refinement didn't extend to the second row, where families most often place children or teenagers. To make matters worse, the CX-9 was still on sale until 2023, meaning thousands of relatively new examples are on the road today. For crash testers, the idea of such a recent premium SUV showing poor rear seat safety was chilling. The message was clear: style and handling don't count for much when the people in back aren't properly protected. Number 8. Nissan Murano, 2015 to 2024. The Nissan Murano has long been marketed as the comfort-first mid-size SUV, a two-row crossover with swoopy styling, plush seats, and a smooth ride. But in the eyes of crash experts, comfort turned to concern when the Murano went through the updated moderate overlap crash test. The results? Poor rear seat protection. The dummy in the back seat recorded high chest forces and poor restraint performance, earning the Murano one of the lowest possible ratings in this critical test. For an SUV often praised as a relaxing road trip machine, this was a harsh reality check. What really unnerved safety experts was how long this weakness persisted. The Murano had been on sale in this generation since 2015, and even late-model examples still failed the updated test. That's nearly a decade of vehicles carrying families with a hidden vulnerability in the second row. The front row once again performed well, proving automakers still prioritize driver protection. But the imbalance between front and back struck a nerve. For crash testers, watching a supposedly premium, comfort-oriented SUV leave its rear passengers so exposed was jarring. It reinforced the unsettling truth: sometimes the people in back are still treated as second-class citizens when it comes to crash safety. Number 7. Chevrolet Traverse, 2018 to 2023. The Chevrolet Traverse was designed to be the ultimate family mover. 3 rows of seats, tons of space, and a reputation for being the practical choice. But when crash testers pushed the 2018 to 2023 models through the latest evaluations, the Traverse stumbled badly. In the updated moderate overlap test, the Traverse turned in only a marginal rating for rear passenger protection. The dummy in the back showed troubling results. The chest was subjected to forces that suggested a higher risk of injury, and the seatbelt system didn't manage the crash energy the way it should. For a vehicle built to carry big families, that's exactly the wrong place to fail. The issues didn't stop there. In the updated side impact test, the Traverse earned only an acceptable score. Better than poor, but still not what safety experts expect from a modern 3-row SUV. With so many of these vehicles carrying kids and car seats in the back, the less-than-stellar results made testers uneasy. To be fair, the redesigned 2025 Traverse has already improved, showing GM took the criticism seriously. But for the hundreds of thousands of families still driving the 2018 to 2023 versions, the weaknesses remain. To crash engineers, seeing such a common family SUV stumble in both rear seat frontal protection and side impact was more than disappointing. It was frightening. It underlined that popularity and size don't always mean top-level safety. Number 6. Toyota Highlander, 2014 to 2023. The Toyota Highlander has been a staple of the mid-size SUV market for years, praised for reliability, comfort, and strong resale value. But when the 2014 to 2023 Highlander went through the updated crash tests, it revealed a flaw that caught experts off guard. In the updated moderate overlap test, the Highlander managed only a marginal rating for rear seat protection. The dummy in the second row recorded elevated chest forces and poor belt control, suggesting that passengers in the back could face serious risks in certain types of frontal crashes. For a vehicle often chosen by families precisely because of its reputation for safety, this was an unsettling discovery. What really made experts uneasy was the contrast. The front row showed solid protection, living up to Toyota's reputation, while the rear lagged behind. This imbalance between front and back echoed across many mid-size SUVs, but the Highlander's results stood out because of its popularity. Millions of them are on the road, many carrying children or elderly passengers in the second row. For crash test experts, watching such a trusted nameplate stumble in a critical safety category was a reminder that even the most reliable brands can falter under tougher new standards. The Highlander may be dependable in many ways, but in this test, its rear seat safety terrified the engineers who watched the results roll in. Number 5. Volkswagen Atlas, 2018 to 2023. The Volkswagen Atlas was VW's big play in the American SUV market. Huge cabin, 3 rows, and German engineering wrapped in family practicality. On the outside, it looked like the perfect answer for parents who needed space but didn't want to settle for the usual suspects. But when crash experts ran the updated moderate overlap test, the Atlas showed cracks in its armor. The results? Marginal rear seat protection. The dummy in the second row recorded chest injury measures that alarmed testers, and the seatbelt system didn't control movement properly. In plain terms, the rear passengers weren't as well protected as they should be in a serious frontal crash. Adding to the concern, the Atlas didn't score top marks in the updated side test either, showing it wasn't as bulletproof in real-world collisions as its big size might suggest. For a vehicle marketed on space and family appeal, that's exactly where it couldn't afford to stumble. The unsettling part is how common the Atlas became. From carpools to family vacations, thousands of these SUVs are still on American roads. Watching a model with such widespread use struggle in critical rear seat testing left experts uneasy. The Atlas sold itself as safe and roomy, but for those sitting behind the driver, the story was much less reassuring. Number 4. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, 2018 to 2025. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross might not be as common as a Highlander or a Pilot, but in crash labs, it earned a reputation for being one of the worst performers in its class. Safety engineers didn't just find one weakness, they found multiple. In the updated moderate overlap test, the rear seat dummy showed poor chest protection and weak belt restraint. That alone would be worrying. But then came the updated side impact test, where the Eclipse Cross again stumbled, with injury measures that raised eyebrows. And to top it all off, IIHS rated some of its headlights poor, meaning night visibility was compromised as well. This trifecta of concerns, rear seat weakness, side crash vulnerabilities, and weak headlights, is the kind of profile that makes experts nervous. For a modern SUV still being sold new, it's rare to see so many safety red flags clustered together. For crash testers, the Eclipse Cross was a sobering reminder that not every new SUV keeps up with the toughest standards. Its flaws weren't minor quirks. They were serious, repeated failures across multiple critical tests. Watching it come up short in category after category was enough to make experts shudder. Number 3. Honda CR-V 2023 to 2025. The Honda CR-V is one of the most popular SUVs in America. The kind you see in every parking lot, every highway lane, and every suburban driveway. It's been praised for reliability and practicality, and for years it carried a reputation for safety. But when the latest updated moderate overlap crash test results came out, the CR-V shocked everyone, including the engineers watching. In this test, a rear seat dummy is added to simulate a passenger sitting behind the driver. The CR-V's results were poor. The seatbelt system didn't control the dummy properly, chest injury measures spiked to worrying levels, and the protection just wasn't there. To put it bluntly, the back seat, where families often put their kids, was rated as unsafe in this critical test. What makes this terrifying is the CR-V's sheer popularity. Millions of these are on the road, and thousands are sold every month. Owners think they're driving one of the safest small SUVs around, but the new testing exposed a glaring weakness that had gone unnoticed for years. For crash test experts, watching such a trusted, top-selling SUV stumble this badly was chilling. If even the CR-V couldn't handle the updated safety bar, what did that mean for the millions of people riding in its second row? Number 2. Nissan Kicks 2025. The Nissan Kicks is a small SUV aimed at budget-conscious buyers, known for its affordable price and fuel efficiency. But in the latest crash tests, affordability came with a frightening cost. In the updated moderate overlap test, the Kicks bombed with a poor rating. The rear passenger dummy revealed serious belt positioning problems. The seat belt slipped out of place, chest injury forces were high, and overall protection in the back seat was simply inadequate. While the driver and front passenger were decently shielded, anyone sitting behind them was alarmingly exposed. This is the kind of result that makes crash engineers nervous. Not because the Kicks is exotic or rare, but because it's marketed as a sensible, practical choice for everyday people. Families, students, and commuters buy the Kicks expecting safety. But in the lab, it left rear passengers frighteningly vulnerable. The contrast between its everyday image and its poor safety showing was exactly what made experts uneasy. Seeing a brand-new 2025 SUV fail so decisively in rear seat protection is the kind of finding that terrifies crash testers. Number 1. Volkswagen Taos 2025. The Volkswagen Taos was supposed to be VW's practical, affordable compact SUV for American buyers. But when it rolled into the crash lab, it turned into one of the most unsettling test subjects of recent years. In fact, it didn't just fail in one area. It stacked up weaknesses across multiple categories, leaving crash experts shaking their heads. In the updated moderate overlap test, the Taos managed only a marginal rating. The rear passenger dummy showed belt positioning problems and chest injury risks that would be deeply concerning in a real crash. Then came the updated side impact test, where the Taos earned just an acceptable score, with poor results for pelvis protection. That meant serious injury potential in a common type of collision. But the trouble didn't stop with crashworthiness. The TOWs also turned in poor ratings for vehicle-to-vehicle automatic emergency braking, marginal ratings for pedestrian AEB, and poor for seatbelt reminders. In plain English, not only was it weak at protecting people in a crash, it was also less likely to prevent the crash in the first place. For crash experts, that combination was chilling. The TOWs showed cracks in nearly every major safety category, from the strength of its structure to the brains of its driver assist systems. It wasn't just a stumble, it was a cascade of failures that made engineers genuinely uneasy. For a brand that prides itself on German engineering, the TOWs revealed just how far things can fall short. Watching a new SUV underperform this badly across so many measures was enough to terrify even the most seasoned crash testers. And there you have it, 13 SUVs that rattled crash test experts with their unsettling flaws. From rollovers to weak rear seat protection to driver assist systems that didn't deliver, these vehicles proved that size, price, or reputation don't guarantee safety. For testers who spend their careers pushing vehicles to the limit, these results were more than numbers. They were wake-up calls. So the next time you see one of these SUVs on the road, remember, what looks tough on the outside can sometimes hide terrifying weaknesses inside the crash lab.